Hello, Roman. So, hello, everyone. My name is Zaid. I am a software engineer, obviously. I am a open source contributor to many F# projects and Fable to be specific. I have been talking with Roman about this for a while, that we should do something together, something different, and definitely, yeah, we talked about this through since FableConf to do something fun. And we came up with this idea to do a stream together, so we will see how it goes. Yep. Yeah, so we will start today with a very basic introduction to Fable web development, specifically for a web application, a client web application. We have a little repository set up to work with, which has basically the simplest possible Fable application you could come up with. We will talk about it. We will talk about the structure of the project. We will talk about what Fable is doing. But of course, we will actually compile a project. That's what's important, right? And see how that goes, basically. Oh.
This was like the best thing for an introduction. So I muted my microphone, and of course I didn't remuted it. So unmuted it. So now I hope that people can hear me now. We have about 10 seconds delay, I say. So Thanks for this. Is it better now?
I can hear you clearly.
Yeah?
Yeah. Frank says it's good now.
Yeah, so thanks, Frank. So again, I give you the introduction again. Really nice for the first one. So
all right, good try.
Really nice that you are here in this channel. So we're doing this experiment, never done it before, and it started very well. So as I said, I'm sitting here on my couch. I'm not standing or sitting at my desk because I'm still recovering from my hip surgery here. So I'm just slouching here, and this is Zaid, and he will explain all this stuff today for us, like all the Fable stuff, and we will go through this together. So this was a good thing, Frank. So if you have any questions, we are about 10 seconds. We have about a 10 seconds delay. So if you have any questions, it might take a while, but we are watching the chat, so just put your questions in there, or if you can't see us, if you can't hear us, just go for it.
Yeah, we're stalking the chat, even though it's a bit late for us. I will try not to get confused by looking at my past self from 10 seconds ago, but it should work out fine.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so I'd say I do my obligatory los geht's, and we just dive into the code. So I'm switching here to Visual Studio Code.
Yeah, so we have this live share session going on.
Yes.
Where we are starting from scratch.
Yes, we're completely starting from scratch in here. So there is a repo, a Fable getting starting repo in your GitHub, and I'm just cloning this thing here. Trying to get back to my thing. I'm cloning this here, so we can just have this open here in our VS Code session.
Right. So I see the files as well, so that's a good start. Nice.
Okay, so we have just cloned this stuff, and where do we start?
Well, the first thing to look at is the source directory with the app.fs file. That's basically where our F# project will be. Are you following the cursor as well?
Yes, I'm doing. Yes,
all right,
I am.
So we have basically we have this project inside the source directory, which has one file, app.fs and app.fs project. The fs project just says which files we have to compile, etc., etc. It's a normal .NET project. It's not any different. It doesn't have any Fable specific things yet. And we can start with the F file. Oh, the session has terminated unexpectedly again.
Yes. You can open chat in an external window.
All right,
okay.
we will restart the session, the live share session. The resource is not available.
Okay, we have typical live problems. This all worked perfectly when we were rehearsing this stuff.
Yep.
So, Zaid cannot see my stuff. Let's just give us a second and then we will have set up everything, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm joining it again. Looks good so far. Yeah, I'm back.
Awesome.
Nice, nice. So we were saying we are in the app.fs project, and that's basically our whole application. The repository itself has a lot more files, but these are more build artifacts and how to get the project actually compiling. So we have the app.fs inside source, and we also have the public directory, which includes the index.html file. This HTML file will be our entry to the web application, to the web page, right? And it references a single file called bundle.js. That's where our compiled F# code will be in the same public directory. So when we compile our F# project within the source directory, it will become a single bundle.js file inside the public directory, right?
Okay, so all the libraries and all the code that we are writing and all the F# libraries that we are using are in this bundle.js file, which is generated
exactly.
then.
Yeah.
So we don't have it yet, right?
We
Not
don't
in
have
there
it
now.
yet.
Okay,
Nope.
cool.
So the first thing we do is install what's needed inside the repository, and that's done within single npm install command. I'm not sure.
No, I don't see your what you're doing in the terminal. I do it. Do I just say npm install?
Yeah, npm install.
Okay.
Yeah, I can follow what you're doing on the terminal. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
so we are installing JavaScript stuff now.
Yeah, so what we're installing is the JavaScript packages. Well, we have to talk about why we are doing this, because the project, the repository itself, is not just an F# project. For every typical Fable project, we have actually two types of projects. The F# project that we are usually used to, the .NET project. This is what we write. But next to that, the whole repository itself is actually a Node.js project. This is implied by the package.json file included in the repository. When you have a package.json inside a directory, that's by default, that becomes a Node.js project. And this project has some dependencies, namely these ones, these dev dependencies.
Wait, I'm not following your I don't know why. So I'm now in the package.json file.
Okay. So in package.json, you have this section called dev dependencies, which are development dependencies. And these are the things that we're installing when you go npm install inside the directory. So we're installing a bunch of things. The Fable compiler, as you can see, is one of them, and a bunch of other things that work together to make Fable compile, to make the Fable compiler actually compile the project.
Okay, but there are not too many dependencies, right? It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 dependencies to start with.
Yep.
Small.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Babel one is like the most important one, I guess, except for the Fable stuff itself, because that's the one that is actually translating the F# code to the JavaScript code, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Fable core is more of a peer dependency. Actually, it's an internal dependency of Fable compiler itself.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So where do we go from here?
I guess we should compile the project right away as just a normal compilation, just a full compilation to get our bundle.js file, and we do that by executing the build script. If you are in package.json, you have a bunch of scripts. And these scripts basically run a CLI program, which is in this case just Webpack. this.
Okay. So I'm just calling npm build now.
npm run build, yes.
npm run build. Okay. Awesome.
So when you go npm run build, it looks at the scripts in the package JSON, and it looks, oh, I have to run webpack, and webpack is one of the dependencies, which is actually a CLI program, and we're just basically invoking that CLI program to get things going.
Okay. So now that we have done this, it's done, and so now we can open the bundle.js file.
Yeah, I can't see it from here, but as far as I know, it should be there in public. Can you see it?
Yeah, I see it, but no, oh man, we have a problem with this.
The collaboration has ended.
Yes.
Or restarted.
Yes, I restarted. We never had these problems before. I'm really sorry for this. I'm just... So the whole live stream is offline now. Okay. Let me just restart this. I'm really sorry for this.
No, it's okay. You know how streams go.
Okay. The people should still see me. And I'm starting a collaboration session, which is not working out.
Yeah, I'm looking at the stream and I can see as well.
Yes.
Going. Oh, you're actually looking at it. Okay.
Oh. So we need to restart VS Code. This is really bad. And if not, you might just need to somehow guide me through this blindly. But I think we will get this done. Anyway.
It's okay. Give it another try. If it doesn't work, I will just walk you through it. Even you can. Yeah, you just have to tell me where you are and what you're looking at.
Yes.
That should go as well.
I'm trying. It seems to start the session again.
Okay. Sounds good.
I give you a link, hopefully.
Yes, please.
And then we can restart this. Okay, so hopefully this is working now. But what we have actually done here is that, so this is the bundle.js file, and this is the file that we normally never should actually have to look into, yeah, right? This is all generated code. It looks pretty scary actually to look into this. A lot of Webpack export stuff and a lot of strange stuff in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I just close this and we never look at it again, right?
You never look at it. You just open index.html and hope for the best.
Okay. So this is the index HTML one, and this is where all this stuff is loaded into.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how can we actually run some F# now? What do we need to do? Well,
the only thing it's doing is printing out a message to the console. So if you open up if you open up index.html just by double clicking it, actually.
Okay, wait, we need to talk again. Stop again.
Oh. I'm actually in the live share session.
Yeah, but the people can't see VS Code.
All right.
Oh man, oh man, oh man. So, please, work now. I'm very sorry. Should I give it a sec?
Yeah, 1 sec, technical problems.
So, do you see the screen now?
On the live chat? No.
Yeah, should be all right now. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I see it
Okay,
too.
let's keep going.
Yeah, so to run the actual code, you need to open index.html in your browser. I don't think you can actually screen that in your VS Code internally. But if you're running it locally on your own, you can just open up the file, and it will open up your default browser. You look at the console, you look at the browser console, and it will be there. The message will be there.
Okay.
So
wait. Yeah.
yeah, the message will be there. But to be able to run it, so that's one way to run the code, right? We just build the file, and that's already ready to run and ready to distribute, etc., etc. But this is not how we do it when we are during development time, right? Because
Yes.
during development time, we want to have this live reload thingy. We want the browser to refresh itself directly when we make changes, etc., etc. And we want to hook up to the debugger as well. So instead of doing a npm run build, which executes a full build, we will run the other script, which is the npm run start, and this one starts up a development server specific from Webpack. So you want to build the project fully, make all the changes needed, etc., etc. And the other script is to start a development server, a server that will host these files in development mode.
Okay.
So you can go. There are two ways to do this. If you want to use the debugger, we can, but we can start with just npm run start to just see how the web server works, right?
Okay, so I do this here. So people just said that there is no browser window shared. I didn't open any browser yet. We are doing this soon
in the internal browser.
Yes. So I'm doing npm run start.
Yeah, npm run start or npm start for short.
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah, and this one will start up the development server.
Okay, and now there is this thing called browser preview here. So it's actually on here, and then we could actually open a browser in here and go to localhost
8080
and see nothing because we only printing out put this
a message to the console.
Yeah, we put this to the console, but I don't think we see the console here. So what I think what the nice thing is with all this stuff set up, when it's working in VS Code, normally it works pretty well, but with this browser preview stuff in here, is that I close this here and I also close the npm start. And what I'm doing now is I'm opening I'm running a task, which is watch client, which is a file in here which you can also find in the repository. It's a VS Code. No, you left again the collaboration session.
Did I? Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Which is a VS Code thing here, a task, which is watch client that actually runs npm start within VS Code. So when we do this, we hopefully then can actually debug with the browser preview in here. This works sometimes and sometimes not. So let's just see. Oh, it looks good. So now
nice.
You can see down here that we have this hello from Fable thing. So this is the actual debug console from the browser. So if we are in here and we change this, right, this should gets a refresh, right?
Exactly.
So I say, hello, live stream people. You are awesome. And we get this and we save this. Everything is recompiling, and we see here that we have the hello live stream people. You are awesome in our debug console. And what I think is like magic for me is that we can actually debug this, right? So we can put a breakpoint in here, hopefully, and then we just reload this. And we see that this is paused. And although all this stuff is JavaScript, with the magic of Webpack and source maps and all this stuff, we are actually in here debugging this stuff. So
yeah, this is one of the most worked on feature in Fable. To have the source maps correctly implemented. And
so the really cool thing, I think, is it's just always stopping in the app, in the project file. But the really nice thing is we can actually have some F# code in here. So we can say let A equals 42 and let B equals 23 and let C equals A plus B. And then we say you are awesome, and use this printf functionality in here, and say we want to actually this here, and then I kill this breakpoint and have one down here. Are you actually in here again, right? Or
I'm not following the screen actually.
Okay, so
you have to tell me where you are.
So I'm having the breakpoint now, and when I now recompile all this stuff, we should actually, hopefully, let's go back here. The breakpoint is on the wrong position. The breakpoint thing is not really cool, but when we actually reload this, we see here we are in the breakpoint again. And we see that B is 23 and that A is 42 and that C is 65. So we have a real debugger feeling here. With the compiled JavaScript that is running in the browser, we can actually debug this in VS Code. Yes, YouTube. Look at YouTube to follow along.
Yeah,
but I'm 10 seconds late.
Yeah, I'm looking. It's really hard.
And we have the real stuff going on in here, which is, for me, it's kind of, when I've seen this the first time, I think when Isaac showed this to me, Isaac Abraham, it was really like a magical stuff in there. So this is pretty cool, actually.
It is.
Okay, awesome. So can you try to reconnect, or is it not working at all, or what should we do?
Okay, let's give it another try to reconnect, see how that goes. If it doesn't, then I'll just follow along.
Yeah.
like another watcher.
So kill this one here, kill that one, and this one. So I kill all the variables in here, and we get hopefully a compiler error. Yeah, we do. So I delete this here
these
as well.
live share things are really, really cool, but when they don't work, it's just everything just breaks.
Yeah. The debugger is Ionide only, yes. I think, so it's a Chrome extension, actually, which runs in VS Code, and yes, it's Ionide only. I think, I'm not sure if the writer people are trying something something similar. What does Stefan, what does no all JS mean? What do you mean by this? So within the browser, within the editor, as far as I know, it's VS Code specific.
Yeah, VS Code attaches the debugger, its own debugger, to the source map. So actually, anything that has source maps could have this debugger experience. Even
so it's not Ionide specific. Sorry, it's VS Code. Yeah, that's what I meant. It's VS Code specific. So it's a feature of VS Code. Okay, cool. So you're not in there, right?
Not yet.
Not yet. I closed the session and I started, but we go from here anyway, and just see if you can reconnect at some point.
Yeah, sure.
So what are we doing now?
So now that we have logged a message to the console, which is very, very exciting, we can start doing something else, which is have some user interface on our page and actually do stuff with it. Okay, that's your link. Let me try to reconnect.
First, maybe I have a question.
Sure.
So with Fable, is it possible to just run like any kind of F# code? Or
what do you mean, any kind of? F# code?
Yeah, so now we just have some variables or some values, and we have some kind of printf statements, but it's like discriminated unions and lists and records and all this stuff is supported, or?
Most of F# is supported, unless you are into very, very advanced stuff like how to serialize quotations, how to do reflection. These things have subtle differences when they're when you do Fable. But most of what you know in F# is just normal F# you are used to. Everything from pattern matching, from active patterns, these kind of things. The whole Fable core library as well. Everything is in there.
So for example, I had like last week I had this video about fold, how to use fold in F# and all this stuff, and I just copy paste some code in here, and we just let it run through Fable, and it should work, right?
Yep.
So we have this.
Is supported.
Fold is supported, yay! That's the most important.
Yes, that's all you need,
definitely.
Right?
So it's the most powerful thing in there. So what was in the video? It was like this. We have like a Windows system, and Windows always asks you to update the system. And hey, you're there, cool. And so you can say like you want to update you accept the update or you defer it. So most of the time, of course, you defer it because you don't want to restart your computer all the time. So you have like these things, and your decision is logged. So you have a log which is Windows update is accepted and Windows update is deferred. And then you somehow parse all this, and then you get a log result, which is just a number of how many times it was accepted and how many times it was just deferred. And then you parsed your log in here with like accepted, deferred, and so on and so on. And then you have some initial state result in here, and you have a folder that just goes through a list and accumulates all the values into this one record. So then we can just say here, let result, and because result is a log result, which is a record, we just need
a record,
the A here, and so we say let result, and when we
that should just work.
It should just work. These famous last words.
Exactly, but I'm pretty sure this one should work. So, if this doesn't work, we have bigger problems.
Okay, so I think it's not working here because I'm not actually calling the code. So it's recompiling.
Yep.
And live stream people, you are awesome. It's not picking up. Why is it not picking up? So we said it should work, right? So it should really work.
Yep.
Okay. I disconnect this one. This, and I run the task again. The watch client. Close that one, and should work. So we call this.
Oh my God, I'm kicked out of the session again.
This is here, and so it compiled the stuff. And when we now run debug with the browser preview on 8080, we should get a debug. Yay! Hello, livestream people, you are awesome. And here we have that the Windows update was accepted 3 times and the Windows update was deferred 8 times. So nice. It works. Fold works, records work, discriminated unions work, everything works. Awesome. So let's build a UI.
Just on a side note, Fable can actually compile itself. There is a Node.js only version of it.
Fable can actually compile itself.
Yes, there's a package which is of itself packaged as a Node.js application.
What does this mean? So is this used anywhere?
Sorry?
So is this like this Fable in JS, the Fable compiler compiled to JS actually used anywhere? You know?
It can be used in embedded JS only applications.
Okay.
So for example, the REPL of Fable.
Yes.
which is technically not a REPL. It is just try F# or try Fable in the browser.
Yeah.
It runs a fully client-side compiler of Fable.
Okay, awesome. We will go to the REPL, I think, later, just to show it what it is and how it works.
Yeah.
Okay, this is pretty impressive, actually. So, okay, let's build a UI, I'd say.
So time for a UI. I think the first place to start is the actual HTML. We're not going to use any framework for now. We're just bare bones HTML and JavaScript, or F# in this case.
Yes.
So if we go to HTML, we see that our body only includes the script of the bundle. So let's add something more to it, something more interesting, like a button. Yay!
So what are we building?
We're building a little counter,
a
counter application. You know,
yes.
These complex applications everyone is building nowadays.
So how do we do it?
Well, we will start with a button on the page.
Are you in there? Are you typing? Shall I type? What are we doing?
I'm actually kicked out of the
session. Again, okay. So I need to write HTML. Whoa, this is my. So it's a.
Yeah, sorry, I left you where it got really hard.
So it's a button and it says click me, for example, and the.
For example, yeah, let's start with just a button that alerts something.
Yes.
And then go from there to a counter application. You know, start easy.
Okay, so the button needs a class or an ID or.
An ID.
ID is.
We give it this ID so that we can reference it back from the F# code,
okay, cool.
right?
So it's the ID is my button. So what?
My button, or yeah.
So what do we need to do to actually?
So you need to go back to your app.fs file and start calling the document API. The document API.
Okay, so I kill all the code I had. And how do I do this?
Yeah. Well, there's since we are running our code in the browser, there are a bunch of APIs that are already available in the browser, like the document API, WebSocket API, actually a lot of them.
Okay, so you mean like document, get by ID, all this stuff?
Document, yeah, exactly.
Okay, get element by ID.
Okay. The audio, the canvas. Yes. All these stuff are already available in the browser, but our F# code don't know how to call them, right?
Yes.
Our F# code doesn't have some module called document get element by ID. It would be nice if we had something like that, which we accidentally do.
Accidentally.
And these accidentally, I don't know how, but we somehow do have these specialized packages, and these are the Fable packages. So Fable packages are specialized modules and APIs which Fable itself can understand and can translate them into these native API calls, native window or document.get element by ID.
Okay.
So to get one of these packages, you have to install them from NuGet, just like any other package for .NET. This is how Fable packages are distributed, just through NuGet.
So it's not on NPM.
No, not on NPM.
Okay.
There is a possibility that some Fable packages can call third-party libraries from NPM, but we're not going to use that today. So because we're only working with APIs from the browser, we don't have to install any external libraries, because all the APIs we need will already be globally available in the environment where the code will run. In this case, the browser.
Got it.
So you need to go to the source directory, which is where your app.fs project is, right? And then just go install the package fable.browser.dom.
So I open a new command line?
Yeah, you can. If you are you in development mode?
Yes.
Okay, I think it should just work without restarting it, but sometimes you have to restart.
So I go to the source directory, right? Source, where the project, and then I say .NET add?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, .NET add package fable.browser.dom.
Fable.browser. DOM. See.
Yeah, this is a Fable package which has the DOM APIs, basically the document object model APIs.
I shouldn't put .NET app. No man, .NET app. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's installing all this stuff, and then now we should have a, yes, in our .NET project, FS project file, we have this Fable browser DOM. So we're not using Packet here, right? We don't need to for now.
No, we don't need to. Packet is more for like bigger projects. We're just starting small, just starting simple, and Fable can actually support. Fable added support for NuGet packages after Packet, which is amazing.
Okay.
But for now, it's good. It's good.
Okay, cool. So now that we have this, did it actually recompiling? We need to have a look.
Yeah, I don't think it recompiles unless you change a file.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but let me see. Now we have this Fable directory here, right? Which is like a .fable directory.
Oh yeah, the .fable, yeah.
In here are actually JavaScript files and F# files, like files that are used from Fable, like from the Fable compiler, right?
Yeah, this .fable directory is actually a middle step in the compilation. So Fable gets all the things it needs and puts it in a .fable directory before it processes it further. So if you look at there, you see everything that goes in the compilation, which is the files, the F# files you already had in the source directory, but also internal Fable functions. For example, the Fable-library directory includes the functions that get compiled when for the core F# library. For example, the fold function.
So these are like the bindings for array or list functions.
Yeah,
so
these are the
bindings.
Yeah, these are the bindings, the functions that get translated to when you call the core library functions, like the fold of list, the sequence, the array, the option. These are actual JavaScript functions that get replaced with these calls.
Okay, cool. So I'm in the app.fs now again.
All right,
make this a bit bigger here for people to see. Yeah. And now I need to open this Fable browser DOM thing.
Yeah, the package is called Fable browser DOM, but the namespace you open is actually browser.dom. So you have to open up the browser.dom namespace, and you should have access. And after opening that, you should have access to a bunch of things from the DOM APIs.
So I should have a document in here? Yes, I have. Okay. So I have now so now we try to get the button. We want to make an alert, right? So we need to somehow register get a reference and then register an event handler for a click event or something.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd say button equals and then document, and then what do I have in here? Okay. Oh, I have a lot. Background color. Document element. So I have a get element by ID. So the APIs are pretty much one-to-one from JavaScript?
Yeah, they're mostly one-to-one. There are subtle differences, but if you know the APIs or you just dot through the module, you see everything that is familiar from normal JavaScript, right?
So I have the get element by ID function here, and so I'm opening the really awesome info panel.
Oh, cool.
Thanks, Christopher, for doing this, because I really love it.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yes, I can't work without it, especially for new APIs. So we have the get element by ID in here, which is
which takes a string, I think.
Yeah, just a string. So now let's have a look at it was my button. So it just takes a string and returns a browser types HTML element. So it's my button. And if I actually change this, okay, we see a button with click me in here. If this looks a bit strange, I don't know exactly how this browser preview stuff works. It actually somehow, it starts a headless Chrome, so without a user interface, and then it generates JPEGs, actual JPEGs from this stuff, and it's another kind of magic. So these are all JPEGs here, but totally interactive JPEGs. So
somehow.
So I can resize this and all this stuff here, and it gives me the size, and yes. Anyway, so I have this button now, and then I say button dot, and now I can
Hopefully you can now add some event listener to it.
add event listener here, and when I go, oh, this bugging window here. When I go back to the info panel, it's a function that takes a string and they function.
So yeah, it takes a tuple.
Oh, it takes a tuple. So yeah, it's not taking two functions. Because the JavaScript, it's similar to C#, right? So
it's the very API similar to the C# API, because that's how JavaScript API is made. It's always a choice of how we implement these bindings, because at first you can map the binding one-to-one to how the API looks like. Yes. But sometimes you want to make it more F# idiomatic, so you could write a binding on top of it and have an API module that works with a pipe operator, these kind of things. But we almost always start with the one-to-one binding, see how far that goes, and then build upon that to make it more functional, compositional. Exactly. Yeah. For now, it's just the plain old document API.
So it's a click, and then it takes a function which takes an event, I guess.
Yeah.
Which we don't use. We just have. So now we need an alert. So we need to think of JavaScript. An alert most probably is in window, because that's the most global thing that we have. So we have an alert, yes. And then we say, hi, people. And when I compiled successfully, now this thing just is not going away. What's that? That's great. I put this over here, and now it's gone. So when I click this, nothing happens. Why is that? Why is nothing happening?
You have to wait 10 seconds to see why.
Because we have an error. Cannot read property add event listener of null. So we have a runtime error.
What does it say?
It doesn't find the button. Because I put the button. I put the button after the bundle.js.
The script tag.
Yes, that's very smart. That's usually how I do it, in the very smart way. So let's see.
There's no way. Usually in normal JavaScript code, you would add an event listener to the document ready event.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's my phone telling me to learn Spanish. Not time for it. So you add an event listener for the ready event, and once it's ready, it means every element has been rendered and can be interacted with. And that's where you start referencing your buttons and start adding event listener to them. So that's one way to do it. Or you could add your bundle.js tag after every element has been rendered.
But still in the body, because it's still not working. Why is that? So I have the button ID, my button, and it says click me. Kai sensitive, my button. Oh my goodness. No, it's not. It's all small. It's all small. All small. It's all small. I'm just not sure.
Is it recompiling?
Yeah, it's recompiling. Just not sure if the. Oh, now it's working.
Nice.
I somehow had to close the error message just to get it out of sight.
Oh.
I don't know. Yeah, it's normally I wouldn't work with this browser preview in here. I think there are some quirks with this in here. But as you see, if I click on it now, it says hi people, and I should, if I change this, hi people of this stream, I hopefully when it's recompiling, hi people of the stream. So it's working. Awesome.
Nice. Cool.
So what next?
So now we have some buttons. We can interact with them. We can start adding some more, right? So we can go back to our index.html, add another button and a header maybe, just to show some text.
Wait a second, I just realized I didn't have my laptop connected to, I didn't charge it, so now. Okay, I don't want it to switch off. So again, sorry, what do I need to do?
So we go to index.html and start adding some more UI elements to it.
What?
So one of them is another button, of course.
So we have one like which is then plus and minus, or what? So I call the button minus.
Yeah, you can do plus, minus, increment, decrement, whatever you like.
Okay, and then say put a minus in here. Do this plus. This is the plus. And what else? A header you said, like a H2 or something?
Yeah, a header. Like a H1, H2.
H2. And what do we put in there? Also has an ID, right?
You could reference back. Let's make it, I don't know, text count. Follow Windows Forms conventions.
Okay. Text count. So an H2 with text count. Okay.
All right.
So now what do we need to do? We have here the button. So we have here a minus button. And we have a plus button. Oh, sorry. A minus ID. And we have a plus. Plus. So, and then we need a mutable variable?
Yeah, so we need to, well, we will need to keep track of the count, of the current count, while this application is running. So we will need to use some state.
Yeah.
There are ways that allows us to use pure immutable state, but for all purposes of simplicity and for the sake of this for this stream, we will just add a mutable variable.
Okay, cool.
To keep track of the count. That's all we need to keep track of right now.
Okay, so it's immutable. Never use this. Immutable count. And we say it's 0, right?
It's just the initial state, whatever you want it to be. 0 sounds good.
And then we have like the counter. What was the name? Text count. And then we say let text count is document get element by ID text count. And then we need to text count, or what is it, inner something? How do we set the value? Inner HTML?
Inner HTML or inner text, it doesn't matter which one.
Inner HTML gets a actual. What does it take?
It's not a function, it's just a property. So you have to use the arrow. How do you change the value of the immutable variable?
Also this back arrow.
The same way.
So,
this back arrow, exactly.
It's text count. But this needs to be a string, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So you can just use the sprint function.
Yeah.
I call them sprint.
Yes. And now that we have done this, let's just for 1 sec save this and see. Ooh. It says it's text count dot value or something, right? Text count dot. No, it's not text. Sorry. Not text count. Count.
Yeah, the mutable variable is just count.
So okay, so now we have the 0 in here, and then we have the plus and the minus, and then we need to set our event listeners for the minus.
Yeah, so what we want to do is set up the event listeners such that they change the state and re-render the UI, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can change we change the mutable variable, just changing the value of it right away. And I think for that you would need to define it before the event event handlers.
Yes, I did.
And then you change the variable and you re-render.
Yes. Okay.
Which is mean just changing the content, changing the inner HTML of
Again,
the text count.
Yes. Okay. So we just copy this here, and then we say that the count. I never work with this, so it's like count -1, right?
Yeah, count is count back arrow is count -1.
And then we say, and then we send this. Horribly ugly, right?
Looks really weird.
This is horribly ugly. So,
it is.
And we don't need the event in here, I think. So like this, and then we can actually copy paste this. Use the plus in here. Have the plus in there for the event list. Now you don't see this, so I make this a bit more up. So, and then I say here it's +1 and the inner HTML. So let's compile this, and when we, yay, it works. When I hit the plus button,
nice.
We can actually change our stuff in here. Awesome.
Nice.
Great.
Applause for ourselves.
Yeah. I just randomly give you another time to start this collaboration session so that you can actually join me, maybe restart.
Yeah, sure.
VS Code.
Give it another try.
Yes.
Why not?
I think it's nicer when you can actually see what you're doing, what we are doing. So cool. So what did we do? We actually used some typical pretty old browser APIs like document get element by ID. We set the inner HTML. We read the value. We set it added event listeners, and we have listened to the on-click event of those two buttons.
Exactly. We did exactly what someone would do if he was writing JavaScript, but with F# instead.
Okay.
So this goes to say that F# that the Fable compiler is not tied or specific to a library or a platform. You could just write it wherever JavaScript is expected to be running. For example, even the tooling of Ionide is written in JavaScript itself and compiled as a Node.js application, because a VS Code extension is simply just a Node.js application.
Okay, and the whole Ionide is written in F#, right? With Fable.
Yeah.
Okay, that's also pretty impressive, I guess, because it can do a lot.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean there is still the compiler service and all this stuff, right?
Yeah, the communication with the compiler services and stuff, they go through the external programs like the FSAC and all these stuff externally, but the communication with it, spawning the processes, reading the files, even modifying some XML and stuff, all go through this Ionide components. It's really nice. You should just take a look at the Ionide repository at some point and go through the code. It's really cool.
Okay, cool. I think your internet connection is a bit.
Sorry?
I think your internet connection is a bit bad. You're really blurry here sometimes.
Is it?
And it's like in between.
It is flickering green. Okay, is that me? My bad.
Okay. So anything else for us to do?
I guess it should be enough for today.
Okay, cool.
We can expand on it next time.
So
we've seen a lot of things. We've talked about the structure of it. So to recap, we had an F# project and a Node.js project. The Node.js project actually includes these dev dependencies. You're following this, right, from the screen? Okay, so these dev dependencies are.
Oh no! Sorry. I thought you're. No, wait. I go back to the package JSON like this.
All right, exactly. That's where I am at, and we see here the Fable compiler is actually a development dependency. So the Fable compiler is distributed to npm, to the node package
Yes.
registry, and that is because to make interoperability easier. In the past, it was difficult to distribute it as a .NET CLI tool because it had to communicate with other Node.js applications externally, but now it could just do it internally, making things as easy as an npm run, build, and npm start scripts, right? So the compiler is here, and then we have this webpack thing which triggers, which invokes the whole compilation pipeline. And if we look at webpack.config.js, that's where we see how the compilation is configured. What's relevant for us are these two things, probably also the dev server as well, but the most important thing is the entry.
Oh, wait. The files are not changing when you're... Okay, now I'm in the webpack config.
All right. So we have the webpack.config, which specifies the configuration for the compilation pipeline, whether it is in production, as in a full build for the F# project, or for development. It's all configured in here. And here you see that the entry file is the entry F# project you're compiling. So when you say, I give you this as your entry file, and it looks to the modules that understand the modules here, that understand these files, that understand these extensions. And in this case, there's this one rule that says whenever you give me an F# file, an FSX file, like an F# script, or a project, I will use Fable Loader for that. And Fable Loader is like the intermediary between the Fable compiler and Webpack.
Okay.
So here, Webpack is telling Fable compiler, hey, here's your F# project. Fable Loader tells Fable compiler, here's the project, you compile it. And when it's compiled, it tells Webpack, hey, I have this compiled thing, where do I put it? And if you look at the output, that's where Webpack outputs it at the very end.
Okay, cool. And that's, I guess,
it outputs it in the bundle.
And I guess that's the line here that is responsible for giving us the source maps. The dev tool is production, and if it says it's production when we find the Webpack dev server in here, so then it's not production, so then we're like in development mode. And if it's the case, then we use these eval source maps that can then be debugged. Right?
Exactly,
cool. Yeah. Awesome. So it's not the most complicated. So if you look at normal like safe stack applications, Webpack configs, they look like scary as hell, right? So at least in my...
they are the...
Sorry?
Sorry, what did you say?
So when you look at them, they look really scary, and you have no clue where to change anything or something. So I think if you really want to start with this, there is this repo of Zaid, these Fable getting started. I put them in the, or you can put them maybe in the chat, so people can copy paste.
Yeah, I can definitely look for that one.
Yes, so that people can actually start with a real minimal F# Fable application, if you want to start with this stuff.
Yeah, this is the simplest possible thing you can come up with. I'm sure a Node.js application would be even simpler, but this is so that you can get the debugging, the live development mode, etc., etc.
So what we actually did again is we added those tasks and debugger configurations, which is the launch JSON and also the task JSON, to the repository, so that you can, if you want to try out this repository, you can just go here, Control-Shift-P or Command-Shift-P on Mac, and say debug, select, and start debugging. And then you can choose between one of those. So the default one is Chrome. So what you need to have is you need to install the Chrome extension, debug with Chrome extension for VS Code. And when you have done this, and then you can start the debug with Chrome, and then you have a full-blown Chrome browser in there. It's not like this browser preview. We needed this browser preview for the live stream, And for the live,
stream,
and for the live share, which is like the best technology ever, and it worked like the last week as like charm. Just today, it just crashes all the time, but it's the best thing. You can share a server, a local server. You can share the code. You have a chat. You have audio calls in there. It's just the best thing ever. But you need to stay in VS Code. So that's why we use this browser preview here. But normally, if you want to debug this stuff, you can just debug with Chrome. And if you don't want to type npm start and all this stuff, we can choose here task, run, and task. And in here, it automatically picks up everything that is in the package.json. So it says detected tasks. And then there is also the tasks that are in our task.json file down here. And here we see we have a watch client, and it says npm start, and it's configuring some stuff. I also copied this from the SafeStack repository, but I hope that you can just take this stuff and start with it and play around with it a bit. And if you have any questions, maybe just put a question in the repo, or here in the chat, or in the comments, or on Twitter for Zaid or for me.
Yeah, we will make sure to follow up. Yeah, and if you like this stuff and you think Fable is the next coolest thing, you should definitely come to the next Fable Conf in September in Belgium. We can talk there. I will be there, so it will be a lot of fun. Hope to see you there.
Yeah, definitely. So I won't be at FableConf because I'm still recovering from my hip surgery that I told in the intro, where I was muted. Like I was like really excited and a bit scared of the intro, so I completely borked it, which is really good. So no, but I think we're almost an hour now, or no, even more than an hour now. I think we went over a lot. If there are, so I keep talking, and I'm waiting at the same time for some questions, if there are any questions now. So I keep talking. There is FableConf. You should definitely go there. There is also another video of some advertisement here of my event sourcing do-it-yourself video series coming. So the query handler part 2 is coming sometime this week, next week, I guess. And
yeah, you should definitely subscribe to Roman.
Thanks. and then there will also be a video about async. Someone on Twitter asked me about this today, and I think I can really fit this into the F# tidbit stuff. And I had a lot of fun doing this today, so I think we could go on. If you have a look at Zaid's GitHub, he has like 1 million open source repositories for F#, for HTTP, for JSON, for PostgreSQL, for MySQL server, for everything. So I think at least we could go over his libraries for the next year. But still, I think the next step I'd like to do is talk about Elmish. Because at the moment it's
sounds good to
the
me.
de facto UI way of doing things. Yeah, so Shindo Kyoto Shindo just asked,
really
will there be more live streams of you too? So if people like this, I think we keep going, and if people don't like this, we keep going as well, because we have fun doing this. And I don't need to edit the video afterwards, right? So this is good. No, but yeah, there is SafeStack, there is Saturn, Giraffe, there is a lot of stuff in Elmish where we can talk about. If Marco is still here, I'm not sure if he left or if he's still in the channel. I'd like to talk with him about all this type provider for CSS stuff and Tailwind CSS. So I think there is a lot of stuff possible. And
yeah, this whole ecosystem is we're just at the tip of the iceberg, right? There's a lot of things that we haven't even explored yet, because wherever JavaScript runs, there's some place for Fable, and that's like endless possibilities.
Really cool. So, the last thing I want to show you. Wait, I want to show you one more thing, and then we leave. But if you don't want to install this, if even this is too much for you, we can just go. Open up here and go to Fable.io.
Oh yeah, the REPL.
Yeah, the REPL. So it's Fable.io/REPL, right?
Yep.
Let me just close all this stuff here. So, and this is, it looks better in a real browser, but this is an actual F# REPL in here, or it's a try F# or try Fable REPL in here. And what we have here is we have like a lot of samples, like we have here an Elmish application with a calculator, for example. And if we call this, oh, you actually did this, right? You did the calculator? Awesome. If you call this, we say here all this model view update Elmish or Elm architecture stuff. We have here a working application where we can actually do something with this. It's not here. You can see it up here, and you can also see the generated JavaScript code, which is actually not as bad as you would think. It's really idiomatic JavaScript code. If you had pattern matching in here, would be even better. So I suggest that you just check it out. You can put pretty much everything in here. You have HTML, CSS, and you can just play around with it. There's also a fun and games where you have like a Super Mario game, pretty simple, but that you can use and play with. It's really nice. So
yeah,
with this, I'd say we wrap this up. I had a lot of fun, and while we were
it was really good doing this.
Thanks, Zaid. I really like this, and I hope to see.
Thank you all for watching,
and I hope to see you next time. So, bye bye.
Have a good day.
See you around.
Bye.